Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of Daily Record Hotline Live, and it's a bit of a bumper show tonight. As you can see, I'm joined yet again by my wee pal Scott McDermott. Scotty, how are you?
I'm okay, Jack. With yourself?
I'm good. I'm good, mate. We've got loads to crack on with. Not least, by the way, we've got some really. I found it fascinating. Nico Raskin's press conference that I know you were at earlier on today. I thought
Yeah.
it was really honest, really insightful stuff from Nico Raskin, which we'll see later in the show, Scott. I know that you were part of the presser. We'll come back to it, obviously, but I thought really interesting stuff the Rangers fans will want to hear.
Well, it was great. If just the fact that we got to speak to him, Keith,
Yeah,
because
because it's been a while, hasn't it?
me and Andy Newport were speaking after it. We think the last time Nico Raskin was put up for the media here was the last day of last season against Hibs when they did disallowed goal.
Hmm.
So a lot has happened since then
Yeah.
at Rangers, including not to do with him. So I think there's a few wee snippets come out for the Belgium national team squads where he's obviously get put up a couple of times, but it was good to actually sit down with him the day and be able to ask a couple of questions. And you're right, I think he was really honest, really open, and it was really interesting what he said.
A couple of top lines to take out of it, including, what he sees, how he sees his future at Rangers going, and, a reference on more than one occasion to what happened with his relationship with Russell Martin. Very interesting stuff, which we'll come to later. The reason that I'm saying that, we've got so much to pack in. We've also got Scott Burns from Pataudry, who has just come out of Aberdeen's press conference ahead of their Conference League showdown with the Armenians, Noah. And I've also caught up earlier today with Craig Swan and Mick Gannon, who are over in Rotterdam ahead of Celtic's match with Feyenoord tomorrow night. I caught up with them in between press conferences. They're currently waiting for Celtic to turn up for Martin O'Neill's press conference, and with a bit of luck, and if things fall into place, the guys might jump on again before the end of the show to let us know what the news lines are at Celtic. What we can say, Scott, is that both Kelechi Iheanacho and Marcelo Sorachi have trained this afternoon at Celtic Park. We'll find out if they've joined the travelling party, and if either of them could feature, hopefully, when we catch up with the boys a little bit later in the show. What I think we should do, though, is, Scotty, why don't we go and hear what the two of them were saying after meeting with Robin van Persie, the Feyenoord manager, a little bit earlier today, as I said, as the clock ticks down to what looks like a really interesting Europa League tie tomorrow night.
Thanks very much for joining us. I can tell from the backdrop you're in the Kirk Stadium in Rotterdam. Brilliant place, by the way. Since we talked last night, in fact, almost as soon as we came off air last night, Celtic released the voting figure from the AGM. 99% backing of all reappointments to the board. What will you make of this, guys? Is this a vindication for Peter Lawwell, Dermot Desmond? Is it an illustration that the silent majority are there and that they do fully back the board, as opposed to the militant sections of the sport?
No, I think it's just a kind of a example of a PLC in operation. I mean, the vast majority of the major shareholders are, well, Dermot Desmond.
The shares. Yeah.
So the major shareholdings are owned by investment companies and individuals. Unfortunately for Celtic fans, the wide kind of spread of shareholders, the small shareholders, is actually quite a small amount. So I don't think it's a reflection of an overall feeling of, if you take 100,000 Celtic fans and you ask them, is 99% of them backing the board? I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of them are quite content with it. Well, not content with the right phrase, but they're okay with what's going on. But I think it's just a kind of it's a snapshot of the investor profile of the club, really, rather than the kind of wide fan base. I don't think that's it's a different kind of way to look at it.
I think Celtic would be keen to put that image forward that this is only a small, unruly group, and this picture here paints a true story. The vast majority, or the almost overwhelming majority of fans, are very much team board on this. I think that's a bit disingenuous, Swan.
Yeah, I would suggest so. I tend to agree with what Michael said. He's hit the nail on the head with most of those things there. As Michael says, I think if you got 100 Celtic fans outside, you're not going to get 99 of them who say that they're totally back the board. But I think you're right. I think there is a large silent majority there who do, and are quite comfortable how things are at the moment, and are prepared to forgive a bad window, a bad summer, the way things have gone, and give them a chance to redress the balance. But there is an awful lot of people out there who are not happy with it.
Yeah,
I think we all know that.
I don't think it's, listen, I think the vast majority of football fans will have a moan, have a gripe, and they'll not be happy, and that's fine. But they're not going to be out with the placards, out with the Sammy's boards protesting. They're just sit and moan to their pals and sit in the pub and like gripe about signings, about managers and all that stuff. Because that's what most football fans are. They're not going to be marching in the street with placards and pitchforks. Yeah. There's a portion that are doing that, and listen, they've every right to. They spend their money, they've got a right to their view. But the vast majority just want to go to the game and support their team and moan about it. That's what they do.
To be honest, they want it done better, just because they're not, protest. The ones that aren't protesting still want to see things done better. Because it wasn't done properly.
Yeah, listen, maybe they're entitled to do that as well. Yeah. If they pay their money, and listen, Celtic keep increasing the cost of the tickets and diminishing the product, so they're right to be angry.
Yeah, I don't think this goes away with the publication of those results, that's for sure. But getting back to the football side of it, and getting back to the majority of fans that just want to see their team winning games or football matches, well, this is going to be a tricky one tomorrow night. As I said, brilliant stadium, great place for a football match. I'm guessing you guys are hotly anticipating, and you've just spoken to Robin van Persie for the update from Feyenoord camp.
He was great value actually. Van Persie's not long out the press conference. He was brilliant. He was talking. Listen, it's a really nice stuff. We're on their website just now talking about Wim Jansen. How big a part he played in his career. Obviously a hero for Feyenoord and for Celtic fans. It was some really nice stuff actually. He spoke really well, really emotive about Wim. He obviously passed away about 2022. He's held in high regard in these parts, obviously. That's a game. I don't know you, Swan. That's a game. Listen, I don't think it's a game kind of always in the way for Celtic, isn't it? Yeah. It's a shame because I think this is my favourite ground in Europe. By the way, the Keep is probably my favourite. It's just a proper football stadium, great atmosphere. Both clubs, but are great famous names in Europe. They're both not doing that great right now. They're both kind of toiling.
It's very similar, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very similar.
So it's a kind of it's two big name clubs that are not in the best of places right now. It's going to be an interesting game.
One thing is, Keith, once this game starts in here, the way this place is, it'll feel like the World Cup final. Despite the fact it feels like a game that's getting in the way for Celtic, it won't feel like that. It'll be fabulous.
I find that a bit of a worry from a Celtic perspective, guys, that Feyenoord have a poor, disappointing start to this campaign. They like to punch their weight and above in Europe. It matters to them. That stadium is going to be rocking, and Feyenoord probably would accept going into this game that 3 points is a must. That actually could work against Celtic.
Yeah, it feels like a last chance for a wee bit for Feyenoord. I think that was sort of put to Robin van Persie today. I think he understands the situation as well. Celtic obviously don't have many more lives left in terms of the campaign as well, with the results that they need to get. But yeah, you would imagine Feyenoord will be firing and they'll be up for this. As you say, I don't know if it was a shock result they really lost at the weekend, 4-2 at home to Nijmegen, but I don't think they were expecting it. So they'll have a point to prove tomorrow night, and like we say, this place will be absolutely bouncing. So it should be good.
Never mind the game, Jack. Before the match is the best part. This trip is the pre-match entertainment. The kind of rave they put on for an hour before the game, the light show and all that stuff. So a good old-fashioned Dutch kind of Euro techno kind of rave before the game. It's brilliant. Right, it's my favourite.
I thought you were just about to open a window into your night last night in the ski hut there, mate.
Well, listen, I don't. Listen, my age, I don't ski anymore, Keith. As you know, I'm early to bed.
Really bad.
We had the Scrabbleboard out last night before we went to our beds, so it was a bit early.
In terms of the, we'll just. It seems like we've been doing it, as you said the other night, Mick. We've been doing this for a week now or so, just waiting on the appointment of Wilfred Nancy, the confirmation. Listen, there's no chance that he turns up in Rotterdam for this game, is there? I mean, basically, I think you have to get to Glasgow for. There's no suggestion.
I don't think he's going to be here for this one. I think he'll be arriving. I think the plan is to get him in before the weekend into Scotland and get the kind of formalities finished off and get the club suit measured up and all that stuff, and then do all the usual social media stuff and the big reveals and all this kind of thing. I think he's hoping to be in maybe in the stands at Easter Road if he can, but there's a lot of logistical things still to sort out as well. So if he can be there, I think he will be there. But it'll be boots on the ground on Monday, I think.
Yeah, and in terms of the appointment in general, Swan, I mean, we discussed it the other night. Is it something for Celtic fans to get excited about, or is it something to be concerned about because of his lacking managerial experience? But I can feel, I don't know about you guys, but we can feel the excited level start build a little bit. I think Celtic fans are certainly willing to give this guy a go. I think it's something out of the box a little bit, and it might add a bit of unity to a very fractured picture this year.
Well, a new manager does have that effect. Most of the time, everybody's excited to see what happens. I mean, we discussed this last night. I don't think the appointment of Wilfred Nonce is going to immediately make the unhappy ones just vanish and be smiling again. I don't think that's going to happen. But listen, as a general supporter of Celtic fans, we've talked about it. Yes, it's a gamble. Every managerial appointment's a gamble. But this looks like a fresh, innovative way of thinking. There's going to be some new ideas, and I think that's something that the supporters will really be looking forward to. Like everything, the proof will be in the pudding. We'll see. You'll know pretty quickly, I would say, when it gets started, how it's going to go.
It's weird that because Celtic are so slow and dithering in these things, that it's actually taking a bit of time to get organised. But it's giving fans a time to kind of look up this guy and look at the old interviews and go on to kind of do a bit of research. And I think the more people look at him and think, you know what, this guy's actually got a bit about him.
Yeah.
So I think if it had been a quick appointment 2 weeks ago, it might have been like a slight outcry right away. But I think 2 weeks down the line, because they've been so slow at doing the whole process, it's giving punters a chance to get their head around it and think, you know what, this guy might actually do the job here. So I think they've warmed to the idea.
Yeah, and the other thing I think is you'll know pretty quickly the standard of player he can get in coming with the January transfer window comes so soon after his appointment. As soon as he's in the door, that'll be an instant proof of what sort of eye he's got for a player and that type of thing. What sort of backing he's going to get from the hierarchy, which you would expect would be fairly hefty, given what's happened, what's happened at the start of the season. So it's real acid test stuff for him, you know. If he comes back at James straight away, he's off to a flyer.
Okay, boys. Well, listen, I hope we catch up with you again after we've been at the Celtic press call, did it later, live on the show. Until then, have a good afternoon.
And as if by magic, live all the way from Rotterdam, Mick Gannon and Craig Swan. Lads, how was Martin Neil?
We're not getting better looking, Jacko, in the last hour or so.
You're actually aging a bit, Mick. Looks like you might have had a rough night last night, despite that hard Scrabble contest that you were involved in.
It's a very long day. It's a very long day, hard graft.
What was it? What was the top lines at Martin Neil's press conference, boys?
Just as you would expect, he expects it's going to be a very difficult game, obviously, given the fact the way things went in Denmark against Midtjylland. Also said the new manager would be imminent in terms of arrival, so that'll be soon enough. But I think that's things we already knew. He knows it's going to be a difficult game, knows it's going to be a difficult test. He obviously watched them. He watched them against NEC Nijmegen at the weekend. He watched videos of that and made the point that they could have been, in front in the game before they eventually lost. So he knows how tricky it's going to be.
And injury-wise, I was saying just before you guys come on that there was a bit of good news for Celtic in Celtic Park earlier on today when Kelechi Iheanacho and Marcelo Sarachi joined training. Are they part of the travelling party, guys?
Yeah, well, whether they'll be, I think Iheanacho's certainly got a better chance to them featuring, I would say. At this stage, I'm not sure where Sarachi is in terms of his recovery, but Iheanacho could be an option. Yeah,
he kind of, listen, Martin Neil's, he's not what he's like. He's very cute when it comes to this kind of stuff, isn't it? He'll kind of make a few red herrings. I think he talked it down. Basically, you think, well, they're not going to play the way he's talking, but you know what he's like. There's every chance that they might make an appearance. I suspect that Iheanacho maybe the bench would be one that maybe make a wee late appearance if need be. But I think he's going to wait the next 24 hours and check him tomorrow, see how he is. Yeah. But it's very early days in his kind of comeback. So I wouldn't see him starting, that's for sure.
Right, okay, well, boys, I know you've got loads of work to do. Before you go, give us your score predictions for tomorrow night.
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm basing this on what happened in Denmark against Midtjylland 3 weeks ago. Celtic were put out of the game very quickly by the Danes, and I would worry that Feyenoord would start this game hot with this atmosphere and could do something similar, get ahead of Celtic early doors. I mean, the one thing that Celtic must do is if they do lose the first goal, they've got to stay in the game. Do not do what you did in Denmark and lose goals in a cluster. Like the bad old days of Celtic, they go from 1-0 to 3-0 before half time in about 7, 8, 9 minutes. Yeah. So they can't do that. So they're going to have to dig in, but I think it's going to be difficult for them to take anything from here. I know Feyenoord are struggling, but I think they might just get a result.
I think Feyenoord are vulnerable right now. I mean, they've lost 3 in a bounce. Their ultras are banned for the game tomorrow night for pyro offences, aren't they? So there's a slight problem with the ultra element of Feyenoord. Very similar to Celtic at the moment.
I was going to say, it doesn't matter where you go, it's the same old story.
Aye, there's some parallels to be drawn, so I think they may be vulnerable. So I'm going to say Feyenoord 2-0 probably. Celtic away from home in Europe. I mean, they've barely won away from home in Europe for years. So I think it's a tough one. I mean, for all they're struggling, they're still a good side. They've got some good players. We were here a couple of years ago and they were right good side then. They're not quite the same level now. But Celtic got the work cut out tomorrow night. I think it's a tough one. If they can get a point, it would be a great result. But I think a tricky night for them.
You would. Mark Fairfield's been on as usual with lots of comments. He did say just a little bit earlier that your 2 expenses accounts must put MPs to shame. Probably right.
No. Me and Swanny are pre-Christmas diets, so we're eating light. Pre-Christmas purge.
Liquid diet.
I just did 1 cheeseburger with my Big Mac meal.
Can you claim for Monjaro and expenses?
You had a Big Mac meal with a cheeseburger on the side, Swanny?
Yeah.
Aye,
I told you
that's healthy living.
Told you I was
That's part of the diet.
Right, boys, I'll let you go. Thanks very much for joining us again from Rotterdam, and enjoy tomorrow night. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, boys.
Catch you later, guys.
Cheers, guys. Scotty, not a lot of confidence there, it has to be said. We were all asked to give our kind of pre-match predictions. What did you go for Celtic and Rotterdam?
I went with 2-0 Feyenoord, I think. Jacko, similar to what Swanny was saying there. I'm still laughing at his cheeseburger chaser. I thought
I think maybe the cheeseburger was dessert.
Similar to what Swanny said, I just think it'll be a tough night for Celtic. Tough place to go. I know Feyenoord are not in great form. We touched on it last night. They're not the team they were a couple of years ago, but with that crowd behind them, and as you said, just that necessity to go and win, at home, to kind of keep them in contention in the competition. I just think that'll be too strong for Celtic. I don't think Celtic are in a great place just now, following on for the weekend. I know they won, but it was a kind of flat performance. They're waiting on the manager. There's that kind of sense of waiting on the new manager to come in, waiting on players to come back that they need.
Injury issues.
Yep. I can see it being a tough night for them. So I've went with 2-0 Feyenoord. But like Swanny says, I'd be worried about Celtic if they go a goal down early, because it can be a tough place to play the Decoit when you go behind.
When that place actually catches a bit of fire, it is an intimidating place. I think a long night for Celtic. I think I've predicted 3-1. So that's a fairly pessimistic set of views. Hopefully we're all wrong and Celtic can go there and surprise. I think if they could get away with a point, I think that's a really strong result, given they've already got 4 points on the board. It really keeps them in contention for qualification. Scotty, we'll go back now to the start. As we said at the top of the show, some really interesting stuff from Nico Raskin at today's press conference. You were there to ask him some questions. Let's just play it and everybody can see what we're talking about.
Nico, can I just start by asking how much the squad are looking forwards? This one, is it a genuine belief that if you're able to beat Braga, that Rangers could even progress to the knockout stages of the Europa?
Yeah, this squad is looking forward to the game. I think we stand to get some points. We said at 0, so it's not great. And yeah, we just prepared it today again. We know the plans. Everyone to go there and win the game.
Can I also ask how much you're enjoying Murphy under the new head coach and Danny Rohl, and what sort of differences you've noticed between him and Scotty said?
Yeah, I think it's great. Gaffer's work has been very good with us, try to get us a lot of confidence. He just brought some simple clarity, simple way to play forward and try to get us winning games, which we try to enjoy, we try to put on the pitch. It's not be perfect on the pitch every time, but we try to improve game by game, and we will give our best to try to make something much better this season.
Nico, is it a must-win game then if Rangers are to progress in this competition?
Yeah, it's yeah. But to be honest, we just now we have to win everything. We're trying to win every game we play. There's no calculation. We still have 0 points. So if we want to think about anything, we need to win tomorrow.
What has been going wrong, Nico, so far in this competition? You touched a bit on it there, but what has the manager done to try and change that, try and address that for these upcoming games?
What we see us been going wrong.
Yeah, in the Europa League so far, you have 0 points. What would you say has been going wrong?
Well, obviously we lose whole goals, and we've been a bit low in our performance. We lost cheap goal, and I think in Europe there's no. You can't get out of that. You need to be 100% good and trying to be the best you can. If you're not sure 100%, you simply lose. And we had some moment with the red cards. That didn't help, but I think overall we've not been good enough in Europe, and we need to prove that starting right tomorrow.
Hi Nico, it's been a difficult season for everyone at the club, but yourself, you've been in the headlines a bit earlier on this season when you were out of the team. Can you just tell us how difficult a period that was for you, having to sit at home and watch the team in the Swiss games?
I can't lie, it was really difficult for me that period, and I'm still trying to get back to my best form and whether it's physically or mentally. I think it's not been great, and I've not enjoyed every part of it. Like I've read a lot of wrong stuff every here and there, but I had to be quiet and just trying to do my best to get back to playing and to get back to happy team, which I tried to do. And so now I just look forward and I try to improve game by game. I'm talking a lot with the manager about how I can improve my game, and I just try to give my best for the team and in games with the team.
And Nico, can I just also ask, a lot of focus on your contract situation as well. I think there's only 18 months left. Can you see yourself perhaps renewing your contract? Would you like to stay at this club longer?
Yeah, obviously I'm very happy here. We've got a new manager trying to build something good, something nice, and we've got loads of things to do. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm not deciding anything. I'm just waiting for anyone to come and talk to me. So I'm just taking day by day and trying to give my best for the club.
Nico, during those difficult times at the start of the season that you mentioned, how did you get through them, and was there ever a point where you feared that you would have to leave this club?
Yeah, it was a point where he was tough, and I had clear indication that my future was in doubt. But like I say, it's been into the bars. I've had loads of support here, whether it's from the player or the staff. Everywhere in the building, people were very good with me to help me keep my focus and keep my head here. And listen, now is in the past. I'm just trying to give my best and help the team as much as I can.
I was just wondering, during that period, just how big a factor was the support from the Rangers fans, because they made their feelings clear towards the manager and to yourself. They were singing your name when you weren't there. Just how big a thing was that for you, and how much did it help you during that time?
I think it was the biggest part of they were the biggest part of that, and they were so good with me. I was talking with my family, say like it's amazing to have that support when you're not from the city and you're someone from abroad and feel that support. It's just amazing. And so that's why I kept really calm, and I did a left throwing thing and just stayed here and wait for my time to come back and listen. I just try now to give them back in for something on the pitch. I know it's not been perfect, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to get my form back to have the team as much as I can, just to hang everyone away. I think there's a picture that been trying to be painted on me. By that time, that wasn't really what was happening in the building. But like I say again, it's just the past, so you don't need to go back there. Now we try to create something new. We look forward. So I'm not someone that I like to be highlighting the dramas and all this. I'm just trying to do my job, help the team as much as I can, and in trying to do the best for the club. So we don't need to go back that much. Just now we look forward, and hopefully we can win tomorrow, get our first refunds, and then keep that series of win going. I know where you want to go. Where you think, well, how I left my old club. That's what I mean. No, there's never been think about anything of that. If I have to live, I want every parties to be happy and to live in a good way. Like I say, it doesn't depend on me at the moment. I'm just waiting and I'm ready and see what's gonna happen for me. But no, there's nothing on my side thinking of I'm gonna leave for free or anything. I don't wonder. To be honest, the clubs gave me a lot, helped me to position a team and helped me to show myself on a good stage. So I can give back everything I try to give back. Also, just to make it clear, my old club, I've not left the club on free because I decided. I left the club on free because the moment we were negotiating contract with a few players in the same situation, and we changed the board by that time, and then it was a problem in the timing, and then it was too close to the end. So it just, if I could, I would have signed back in and make it different. But by the time it was difficult. It's never been I wasn't excited, but no one blamish. I'm saying to you because I've read this also where people are thinking, I've done it before, I want to go down that road again, which is not really what happened. Why? Just as a TV. Braga won in Celtic Park for the first time last month. This is a warning for this players.
And you beat Celtic?
For the first time, they won in Celtic Park. They are going to play your team, for the first time in Ibrox. Winning Celtic Park is a warning for Raiders.
Well, obviously we are very different than them, than Celtic, but we know Braga is a good team. We know they have some very good players. We've watched them, we prepared them, so we expect a very good game tomorrow. Thanks, Nico.
Interesting, Scott. It's my takeaway from that, and I don't know what yours is. My takeaway was it feels as if he's been portrayed in an unfair light, whether that's by, or around the fallout with Russell Martin, around the way that he left Standard Liège the first time. He seems to be kind of spiking against that a little bit, rallying against it, and saying, look, guys, the Russell Martin thing, I'd rather not talk about it. I'd rather move on. It was really disappointing, but he was aware that he was being painted in a certain light at that time. Would that be fair? Was that your takeaway? And I think he made quite a good defence of himself.
No, I totally agree, Jack. I think that's right. It does feel as if he's been kind of unfairly portrayed as the bad guy at times at Rangers, particularly during that spat with Russell Martin. I mean, if you cast your mind back, Russell Martin left him out of a squad. First of all, I think he left him at a European game against Pilsen, and the explanation was that he felt Raskin's head had been turned by transfer speculation, and he wasn't the right frame of mind to play. I think he then left him out of the Old Firm game at Ibrox, a 0-0 game. And the thing that probably hurt Raskin most was, I think, when Russell Martin said that decision had been backed by the senior players inside the dressing room, which is
made him look like a troublemaker.
Yeah, for a player, that's a pretty kind of damning indictment. And obviously, Raskin hasn't really had the chance to kind of have his say. A lot's happened. A lot's happened since then. So this was his kind of first opportunity. So I think you're right. I do think he feels a wee bit unfairly treated. He clearly feels he didn't do a lot wrong under Russell Martin. The relationship was obviously strained. He said it was a difficult time for him, probably one of the most difficult times of his career so far. But interestingly now, he's back in the team. He seems to be enjoying it under Danny Rohl. He spoke very highly of him. It's interesting right at the very start of that clip when he said, well, the new manager's brought in some simple clarity.
Get the ball falling a bit quicker.
I mean, that has to be a dig at the previous manager, where it all became a bit confused at times, telling you how they were trying to play. So he seems to be enjoying it again. He's one of the first names in the team sheet. He's, you need to say, he's Rangers' most prized asset at the minute. So that then brings us round to the contract situation, and I thought he was basically saying, look, I want Rangers, if I'm going to leave here at any point, I want Rangers to get top dollar, because they've gave me a lot and I want to give a bit back. So if there's an opportunity to sign a new contract, he's only got 18 months left, remember, with a World Cup coming up next summer. He seemed to be open to the prospect of potentially signing a longer term deal. Now, you need to kind of, better than MD, you need to kind of read between the lines with these things. Look, Nico Raskin clearly won't see his long-term future at Rangers, I wouldn't imagine. However, for the club, we only 18 months left, and as I say, he's one of the most valuable players. Something has to give here, because if you're going to cash in on Raskin, we've spoken about it on here several times, they need to either think about selling in January, which is dangerous, obviously, especially if you've got any kind of ambition to go and try and challenge for a title, or at the very latest,
try to take the fans with you. If you're trying to convince the fans
exactly,
that there's still something to play for in this season, and you sell Nico Raskin in January, then you could be accused of being grossly disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly. So that takes you to next summer when he's only got a year left. And that's not really a good bargaining position to be in if you're Rangers with only a year left in his contract. Now, you could argue he could go to the World Cup with Belgium, and even only with 12 months to his contract, if he does well in America at the World Cup, he could come back. There could be a big bid on the table, not could be a silly bid, and Rangers take the money and off he goes. But we said this, I think we said this even in the summer or before. Rangers should have tried to get Raskin tied up in a longer term deal then, so that when they got to this point approaching the World Cup, there was a real prospect to teams coming in for him, but Rangers would be in a far better position to negotiate. So listen, I think Rangers fans listening to that interview, he's already a big fan's favourite. I mean, they sing for him pretty much every week. They were chanting his name during the fight with Russell Martin. There was only one winner in the fans' eyes, certainly. I think they'll be quite encouraged, and they'll quite like what he said there. He's determined not to leave on a Bosman, not to leave on a free, meaning Rangers wouldn't get anything for him. So that situation, something has to give with this contract situation, whether it's in January or the summer.
I don't know, Scott. If I'm Rangers, I think I've said this, he's now got to the point, 18 months left, you're going to have to take a hit. You're not going to get the valuation you want if you sell in January. You've got an opportunity here. If they really believe, and they've said that they can get into this title race, they can't sell him for that reason alone. And then it also gives you, if they really believe that, an opportunity to get into the Champions League. So there's financial benefits to that. Plus the fact, I think you're right, Scott, regardless of 18 months now or 12 months in the summer, if he goes to the World Cup and has a good World Cup and he's, so highly rated amongst, the Belgian camp right now, I think Rangers would stand, funnily enough, to earn more by selling him in the summer after the World Cup than they would do cashing in now in January. I think, even if he doesn't sign an extended contract, I think that's the situation Rangers now find themselves in with Nico Raskin. Either signs a new contract and commits for a long term, or Rangers let him go at the World Cup and then they invite offers. And if he has a good World Cup, and he has been terrific for Belgium, you would think there's a premium on these players if they can get through the latter stages of a World Cup with their country. And Rangers blew that one previously with Hadji. When Hadji got to the latter stages of the Euros, there was a premium on every Romanian player, never mind the attack-minded ones or the creative forces, and Rangers somehow managed to blow that one. I think they've got an opportunity here with Raskin to, if they play their cards right, I think they could be in a strong position next summer, even if he's only gone into the last 12 months of his contract.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the other thing, Jack, was we don't really know just how highly Danny Rohl rates Raskin. I mean, does the manager who's gone into Rangers, does he see Raskin as a real pivotal player for Rangers going forward? No, does he see him as a guy who can be a real cornerstone for what Danny Rohl wants to build there? How desperate is Danny Rohl to keep Nico Raskin at Ibrox? We don't know that yet. If he is, and he does see him as that player, that leader,
and he wants to build a team around him. Yeah, he can go to the board and say, you need to push the boat out here.
Exactly, and I think if you do that, and you sign the extended contract, and you do want him as part of the long term, that's fine. But even then, if a massive bid comes in, you can still take it. If he does go to Danny Rohl might think that he's a crucial player for them going forward. So you sign the deal. But as you say, if you go to the World Cup and he is a stormer and Belgium get to the last four or whatever, and he's playing in quarter-finals, semi-finals, there's going to be real interest in him. And as I say, I think Rangers would then be in a really strong position. Danny Rohl might not want to lose him because he's decided he's a key player. But if crazy bids come in, and by crazy bids I'm talking like 20 million quid, 15, 20 million, 25, you're talking about those kind of numbers, then of course it'll be too good for Rangers to turn down, because that can then go and fund any kind of other signings that Danny Rohl wants to make, and it'll help the club moving forward. And of course that it will then tie in with everything that the club's been saying or trying to say for the last couple of years about player trading, because they picked Raskin up for relative buttons. So if they could get him in an extended deal and get that kind of fee, then of course it'd be good business for them.
You mentioned Danny Rohl. Shall we hear a brief bit of his presser today? He's obviously been asked about the boardroom changes at the start of the week, which saw Chief Executive Patrick Stewart and Sporting Director Kevin Thelwell leave the club.
Hey, can we just start with the big news from this week that the club have sacked Sporting Director Kevin Thelwell and CEO Patrick Stewart, just to get your reaction to that news and to ask if you were consulted at all during the process of their dismissals?
Yeah, I feel first wasn't nice when some people want you to accept. I had a good relationship with Kevin. We are always in the daily business. We spoke to each other, with Patrick as well. And they were also involved with the process when I arrived here and building up something. Then I got a report from Andrew. He gave me this message. Then we had a meeting, a dinner together one day later. We spoke about the situation, process, and it's about moving forward, looking forward in the future. This isn't football, what sometimes happens. And for me, it's now about focus to the next games, that process then, and the next processes.
Scott, we'll move on from this. Just before we do, did you give me your prediction for tomorrow night, Rangers?
Unfortunately, I think it'll be another tough night for them. I think in the paper, my prediction's 2-1 Braga. Well, I'm just basing that on Braga look decent at Celtic Park. They're a decent side. They've done quite well. The Europa League so far, I think they've beat Feyenoord as well. For me, Rangers, Europe is isn't the priority now. I think Danny Rohl will make a few changes again. I think he'll rotate.
That ship sailed.
Aye, I think so. I think it'll be a tough night. Don't get me wrong. I think they'll have a good go at it. The fans will certainly be in a good mood now that Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart are going in. The atmosphere should be a bit better than the last game against Roma, when it was quite kind of volatile against them. So look, that might help them, but I just think it's a step too far. Again, we said it last night, Rangers just need to get points on the board. I think if they get a draw, it wouldn't be a terrible result. But I think they might struggle to win.
Well, they've already got the worst Champions League campaign against their name. They don't want a black mark like that in the Europa League. I think they need to try and do something. although I do think, having watched Braga at Celtic Park not that long ago, they're a decent side, and I think probably too strong for Rangers. I think if Rangers get a draw, that's probably about the best result they can hope for tomorrow night.
I think so. You look at performance at the weekend, Jacko against Livy, it wasn't great. The Rangers have got injury problems. No, Suter and Cornelius, I'm not saying they're brilliant defenders, but they're two of the
They're
best.
a lot better than what's available.
Aye, they're two of the best Rangers I've got. I mean, you're looking at my centre-back pairing again tomorrow night, maybe Gigan Fernandez. You might move James Tavernier into centre-back, taking a shuffle it about a wee bit, meaning Max Aarons can come in. But, of course, we've discussed it enough. Max Aarons has done very little to impress this season. He hinted the day that he might kind of give some players game time. You could see like Rothwell and that come in. I mean, look, we're fed up going over the same old
Can
ground.
I take back my draw prediction then?
Honestly, mate, this is not a great Rangers squad or team. That's why Danny Rohl, I mean, he went on to say in his press conference about how important it is to try and strengthen the team and strengthen the squad in the next wee while. Obviously, with the January window coming up, he knows he's no daft. He knows the quality in that squad isn't good enough. Certainly nowhere near good enough to be competing at Europa League level. So that's the problem we've got. And this game's a bit of a distraction. I think Rohl just wants to try and get a bit of momentum in the league, just keep winning games, keep ranking points up. He might even see a wee opportunity the way the league's going, that they can get themselves back in a title race. So Europe's a bit of a distraction. As I say, I think they'll put up a fight tomorrow night, but I just think Braga will probably be too good for them.
I think it's quite telling, Scott, that Andrew Kavanagh has really milked the big European nights, hasn't he? Even before the takeover was completed, he was going to Fenerbahce games, he was going to Old Trafford, he was all over these matches. But after doing the business in the boardroom on Monday, he just jumped on a plane and went back to Philadelphia rather than stay for the Braga game. I think he knows the game's up as well in this competition. The game is not up, Scott, for Aberdeen, who have got a visit from Armenian side FC Noah tomorrow night. And I've been slaughtered all day for saying that I think they've got a right good chance, the best chance that any Scottish side will have had this season of putting 3 points on the board. I'll get your verdict on that later. I caught up a little bit earlier with Scott Burns at Pittodrie to see what he thought. Scott, you've joined us from Pittodrie. I know you're just out of the Aberdeen presser ahead of tomorrow night's game against Noah. I'm actually getting slaughtered in the office because I've said this is as close to a shoe-in as any Scottish side will have in Europe this season. 3 points absolutely in the bag before kick-off. I'm right, am I not?
Let's hope so for the people in the North East and everyone connected to Aberdeen.
We need more certainty than that, Bunsey. Look, Aberdeen are coming into this off the back of a statement win against Hearts, probably the best performance of the season. You've got to be going into this with the tails up, feeling confident, feeling good about themselves, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big one against Hearts there at the weekend. The leaders fell to their first defeat of the season in the league. It was a statement win for Aberdeen in terms of climbing the table. I mean, and it's certainly given this new look team confidence that they can compete against the better teams and at the level that the club is looking for.
Yeah. What was Jimmy Tillian? What was his?
What was his?
What was it?
He was pretty much of. I mean, they obviously got a good point away in Larnaca there last time out, but that's still 1 point from the first 3 games. He pretty much knows that to qualify like yourself, maybe not. Are they expecting the 3 points against Noah tomorrow evening? But the Armenian champions are known. They were in the Champions League. They're now right down to the Conference League, but the results they push Ferencváros all the way in the Champions League and in this group section they're sitting on 4 points already, so they'll be thinking if they can win at Pittodrie tomorrow evening, then they'll have 1 foot in the knockout stages as well. So it's all to play for.
Yeah. I mean, Burnsy, we've talked a lot about Jimmy Tilleen and his troubles, but it does seem that the tactical adjustment he's made, going to the back five, appears to have been a spark, a bit of a, a kickstart to the whole season. Things have changed since then.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. That's been the basis of the recent revival, both domestically and in that last European game against Larnaca. I mean, I don't think he really wanted to go to three at the back. I think Jimmy's preference was always the 4-2-3-1, but results at the start of the season just weren't happening for him, and I think he had to sacrifice his own principles and his own beliefs to go for that three at the back, and it has given them a defensive stability from which to kick on. I mean, and if they're not losing goals, then they've got players at the top end of the park. I mean, who can produce that bit of magic and grab the goal. So as long as you're keeping your clean sheets and scoring a goal, then you're giving yourself a right chance.
All right, mate. Well, let's. Okay, give me your prediction. I think I went, if my memory serves, did I go 2-0 Aberdeen?
Did you? I think Aberdeen will win it by a goal, 2-1. I think the Jesper Karlsson's back in the squad. That's a big thing. Missed the weekend game against Hearts for family reasons. Hopefully he's in a good state of mind, and if he's on top of his game, then he could pretty much be the match winner for Aberdeen tomorrow evening.
Burnsy, I know it's cold up there, but I'm telling you now, put the kettle on for Aberdeen, 3 points, and a good night all round.
I'll wait to take my shoes off and put them in, so my shoe in. Fingers crossed.
Wrong spelling. See you later, Burnsy.
As always.
Not exactly radiating optimism and positivity, was he there, really, Burnsy?
Certainly wasn't he, no. I think is watching Aberdeen every week damaged him in some.
I think it has. I think it's having the collateral damage. I think we're seeing this here.
I think he's in a kind of haze just watching Aberdeen every other week. No, listen, I agree with you. I think Aberdeen will win by a couple of goals at least. I think the confidence for the weekend, Scott says Karlsson coming back's a big boost for them. He's their best player by some distance. And with the home crowd behind them, off the back of the Larnaca game, which I think was important for them. They kind of shut up shop that night, but they just needed to get a point on the board, which they did. Kind of tricky place to go. So they want to follow that up with a victory. And as I said last night, I mean, if we can't get coefficient points for this game, we really ought to pack it in. I mean, Aberdeen at home.
Don't. You're actually sounding worse than him now, mate.
Jesus.
Willie Miller syndrome, says Rebel.
2-0 Aberdeen. 2-0 Aberdeen at least. That'll be a comfortable win for them, surely.
Fingers crossed, Scott. Fingers crossed. Listen, thanks for tonight. Thanks for all the comments. We will be back, I think, with a little bit of luck for a late night edition tomorrow night after the final whistle at Ibrox, and we can look back, hopefully, on a win for Aberdeen. Who knows what the old firm will serve up. But whatever it is, join us after 10 o'clock and you can get involved and let us know your thoughts. And for this evening, thanks very much. Take care and good night, everybody.